Welcome back. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to play digital archaeologist for a few minutes. We are looking at a highly specific, honestly fascinating artifact of internet media culture. We're going to take just one single, unedited internet search query, and we're going to unpack the whole thing to reveal an incredibly complex, multi-layered pipeline of global media consumption. It's going to be a fun one. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is the exact verbatim source text we're looking at today. Make a South Hindi dubbed movies in Urdu in a real movie explanation. I mean, wow. This single sentence, it's literally a meta request for an explainer itself. The author isn't just saying, hey, give me a movie. No, they're acting like a highly specific media director, basically demanding a very particular type of content packaging. They know exactly what they want, and they are stringing together this wild sequence of cultural and linguistic modifiers to get it. So we're going to treat this brief little excerpt as a highly complex set of instructions. So, part 1, the meta explainer request. We are basically doing a forensic text analysis here, deconstructing this prompt piece by piece to see what's really going on under the hood. Let's start by looking at the ultimate destination of this media journey, right? The real movie explanation. I absolutely love the charming idiosyncrasy of that phrasing, explanation. It is just a beautiful piece of internet vernacular. Basically, what this user is asking for is a definitive, structured narration that completely unpacks a film's story. They don't want to just, sit down and passively watch the raw movie. They want a guide, someone to filter the narrative, break down all the plot points, and then hand-deliver it in a perfectly packaged, digestible format. The explanation is that final, curated vessel holding all the rest of the media. Which brings us to Section 2, Layers of Linguistic Translation, or what I like to call the Matryoshka doll pipeline. Because to really get this, we have to peel back the layers of this concept one by one. Let's move to and see how this builds, because to truly appreciate this demand, we really have to look at the chronological flow of the media. Like I said, think of it like a Matryoshka doll. We've got 3 distinct nesting steps here. Step 1, the South Indian cinema source material. Step 2 is a layer of Hindi dubbing. And step 3 is that final coat of paint, the Urdu narration. Let's peel these back. We begin right at the very first word of the pipeline, South. This is ground zero. The user is specifically asking for a raw cinematic product originating from South Indian cinema. So this represents the foundational visual language, right? The original actors, the original cultural context, the initial directorial vision. Before any translation even happens, the absolute bedrock of this request relies on the incredibly vibrant, dynamic storytelling that is native to the South Indian film industries. This is our base layer. Next up, we hit layer 2, Hindi dubbed. And this is the very first linguistic transformation demanded by the text. So the original audio of that South Indian film, whether it was initially shot in Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, or Kannada, is completely stripped away, just gone. And in its place, a brand new Hindi audio track is seamlessly integrated. Now, doing this completely changes the accessibility of the film. It opens up that visual foundation of the South to a massive new demographic of Hindi speakers. Finally, we reach layer 3, Urdu. This is the final linguistic layer, and honestly, it's where the request gets hyper-specific. Because this user doesn't just want the Hindi-dubbed version of the film. No, they want an entirely new layer of communication stacked right on top of it. They want an Urdu narration, a voiceover guiding them through the story. It specifically targets the audience, completely tailoring the final experience for Urdu speakers who want to engage with a Hindi-dubbed South Indian film, but through the lens of a narrator speaking their exact language. Now, what's really interesting about this comparison right here is the stark contrast between these 2 distinct linguistic actions happening at the exact same time. On the one hand, we have Hindi-dubbed, right? Which is an act of replacement. You are actively altering and overriding the native audio. But on the other hand, we have Urdu narrations. That is an act of additive layering. You're bringing a completely brand new voiceover into the mix to sit right on top of the existing media. It's an incredibly sophisticated dual process of translation, and it's explicitly demanded in just a handful of words. All right, Section 3, the final media format. Let's look at the anatomy of this demand and see how these stacked linguistic layers actually culminate in the final packaged product. When we put this all together, it's actually kind of mind-blowing. We have to marvel at the incredibly dense set of instructions packed into this one super brief excerpt. Just look at the anatomy of this prompt. It absolutely must originate in the South. It must be dubbed in Hindi. It must be narrated in Urdu. And finally, the whole shebang has to be packaged as a structured explanation. I mean, this user knows the exact, precise intersection of cultures, languages, and formats that they want to consume. It's brilliant. So, the crucial point is that this tiny, seemingly random fragment of text is actually a multi-layered cultural artifact. What looks like just a casual, maybe slightly messy internet search query is in reality a detailed roadmap of a deeply complex linguistic journey. It really highlights a fascinating reality about the modern internet. Consumers aren't just passively accepting whatever language a piece of art is mating anymore. They are actively hunting down highly customized, multi-layered translation pipelines to fit their exact, specific preferences. And honestly, this just brilliantly illustrates the complex way media is consumed, translated, and repackaged today. Content isn't static anymore, it is completely fluid. Think about it. A visual story from one region can be given a totally new voice for a second region, and then have a narrator from a third linguistic background explain it all in a completely new internet-native format. These media formats are constantly stacking on top of each other, bridging geographical and cultural divides in ways we literally have never seen before. Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. I want you to look at your own digital media diet. Seriously, when you watch a video, listen to a track, or read a post, how much of it has been altered, dubbed, layered, or, X-plated before it ever reached your screen? How many layers of linguistic translation are shaping the media you consume every single day without you even realizing it? It's a fascinating thing to think about as you navigate your own digital world. Well, thank you so much for joining me to unpack this today. Keep questioning the media you see, and I'll catch you next time.